Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to listen to what I have to say. So, the pay gap between women and men has been an issue since the beginning of time. It's an issue in almost all fields of work, but the one place that is undeniable is in women's soccer. In women's soccer, the women pro teams are making a significantly lower amount than the men, even when they have more viewers and more success. Now, this is a pattern, and it's still very prominent in all sports. For example, in basketball, the men make an average of $2.5 million, with their minimum salary being $525,000. The women's maximum salary in the NBA is $109,000. This is almost 5 times lower than the men's minimum salary. Now, I know athletes make a ridiculous amount of money compared to the average population, but that isn't the problem we're focusing on today. We need to make baby steps in this fight, and I think the first step is to fix the women's soccer players' pay. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I care about this? I don't follow soccer. I don't even like soccer, because our athletes in today are the leaders, and once the athletes make a change, this will create a snowball effect and level out the pay in all the average jobs of the everyday world. Now, soccer is the most popular sport across the world, and by fixing this gap, it will lead to all of the other sports. As a women's soccer player myself, I've been following this issue for a while, and I have gathered a personal interest in this. Now, the women's NWSL, which stands for National Women's Soccer League, they have a pay cap, which is the maximum amount of money given to the whole team. They have a pay cap of $265,000. The men's MLS team, which is Men's Soccer League or MSL, is over $3 million per team. When the U.S. women won the World Cup in 2015, they got reward money of about $2 million. And when the men's team in Germany won in 2014, they ended up getting a reward money of $35 million. Not even that, the 16 teams in the Men's World Cup that got knocked out in one of the first rounds, they all personally received $8 million, which is 4 times the amount the women received for actually winning the World Cup. So basically, women are making 6 cents to every dollar that a male soccer player makes. And this is just referring to the U.S. women's soccer team, who's the most successful women's team in the world. Think about how much less the women's teams in Europe and other countries are making. In the Women's World Cup, there's a total of $15 million to divvy out in reward money. In the men's, there's over $38 million. The women are receiving less than 3% of that $38 million. Now, in 2015, the United States women's team produced $20 million more in revenue than the U.S. men's team did. The women have 4 gold medals and 3 of the 7 World Cup titles. The U.S. men have never even won a World Cup. The women even broke the record for the most watched game in the U.S. In the 2015 World Cup final with 25.4 million viewers. This goes for both men and women's games. So, even after all this data and statistics, why are the women still barely even making anything compared to the men? Former U.S. goalkeeper Hope Solo said, "We are the best in the world. We have 3 World Cup championships and 4 Olympic championships. The men get paid more to show up than we get paid to win major championships." This is something that we have the power to change. And you're probably thinking, how do I have the power to even make an effect on this? Well, the U.S. women's national team has already started to pave the way. Now, they've done this by, in 2015, filing a lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation in federal court. They filed for a gender-based employment discrimination. If they end up winning this case, U.S. Soccer Federation will not only be forced to pay them the same amount as the men, but they will be forced to treat them equally. Now, this case is still going on today despite all of the evidence I've previously told you about. There's an Equal Pay Act that prohibits employers from wage discrimination on basis of sex unless they can prove there's a lawful reason for the wide disparity in pay. Now, there is absolutely no reason for such a large pay gap. And we as people with our attention and media, if we draw more attention to this trial, we will be able to get this passed and cause more of an uproar. Now, this trial is potentially the solution to this issue, but like I said, there needs to be more media and attention on this. It is very practical that the women can win this case. If the women win, it's a step in fixing the pay gap all across sports, and then eventually it'll go down to the regular jobs. Gender pay gap has been a large issue that has never gone away. Eventually, the women's soccer players will get equal pay, then basketball, and then other sports, and then engineers, and then eventually there will be equal pay in every single job. This equality isn't something that'll just affect the pay, it'll affect the treatment that women receive. People need to be more aware of this large gap and causing more of a uproar about it. If we just stay quiet, things will never change. This is a very realistic change that is within our grasp, and we just have to reach out and take it. Now, in 2014, when asked if the women will ever receive equal pay, the FIFA Secretary General refused to answer because it was nonsense. He said, "We are still another 23 World Cups away before potentially women should receive the same amount as men." So basically, if it were up to large political figures such as him, which it is, women won't get equal pay until 2107. Let's not let that happen, and let's draw some attention to this issue and force a change.